Hello YouTube, welcome to the fake Merc character study, part 15. And boys, this is the big one. This is the one I've been teasing on the channel for a while. It took me a long time because it was investigative work on my part to be able to get those juicy ments. And I finally managed to get to a point where I felt comfortable releasing the episode because this is the day where we're going to talk about Bloho's relationship with women. And you're going to see this. It's going to hit really hard. It might be so long and so minty that I'm going to have to cut it in two. If that's the case, don't panic. The other half will come. And I can tell you right now that the other half is what contains the most insane ments because I have direct messages of Bloho contacting women. I've had multiple screenshots of people who catfished Bloho and who sent me what he says. It's amazing. The type of things he uses to seduce women will most likely make you break away bluffing. So I want to spare you a bit. I don't want you to overdose. It might require me to cut the episode in two, but again, I promise you will get your mens eventually, that is for sure. So let's get right into it. Before I start discussing all of that I've gathered, let's talk about what's been happening the past month. First off, the videos have been picking up steam for some reason on YouTube, and they get recommended more and more. So more and more people are being aware of our boy Hemingway, and they join us in that joyful movement that is dedicated to making fun of him because he's our personal clown. We have found, in a sense, a reason for his existence. I firmly believe that Jason should thank us. He should all send us a letter to thank us for giving his existence some sense. He felt that life, but now he can actually help us because we can look at him and make fun of him, and it's good. It's bringing positive energy into the wood. And therefore, in reality, we're giving him a job finally after 20 years of unemployment. He has a purpose, and that purpose is to be our laughing stock, the lolca. But of course, he doesn't like that at all, and therefore, since he constantly checks on these videos, Mr. I never watch YouTube Fitness, that is constantly watching YouTube Fitness because he has nothing else to do all day with his fat ass, he regularly leaves comments on these with soccer accounts. This is going to be important because he committed a fatal mistake that allowed me to trace back some of his soccer accounts that will give us some very funny information when we discuss the topic of women. But if you want a good laugh as well, go to watch all of the other videos, go to newest comments, and you're going to find a few accounts that were created like 2 hours ago by him where he just loses his marbles because he hates these videos. But at the same time, he cannot help but revisit them because he's obsessed with this person. So that's for the stock accounts. Number two, a very joyous occasion and something that no one saw coming, Joe Frazier dropped him as a coach. What a surprise that a promising young man who is making a career on YouTube would dissociate himself from the fat slug. It's not like I called it 5 months ago. And also, as I told you, there was a chance that he was being coughed by Jason, but the possibility of him going public with it was very low. And I can tell you for a fact that since then, multiple people have reached out to him to tell him to cut ties with Bloho, and so he did. Good job, Joe. I don't know if you watch these videos, but you've done something for your future that you don't even understand how crucial it was. This guy would have torpedoed your career. He torpedoed the career of many people because he's poison. The second you touch him, you reek of the same piss that he does. Pushing him away was a great choice. On top of that, he killed his dog, so even on moral grounds, it was very smart. And of course, Bloho, the vulnerable narcissist that he is, couldn't take that, so he had to come up with an excuse. Guess what excuse our boy Hemingway used to justify the fact that he was cut by a big YouTuber? He said it was because his training sessions were too rigorous and that Joey couldn't follow. It's like he doesn't get that we know and we have access to information besides what comes out of his mouth. Like, his training sessions are super easy because you need no work capacity to do a few sets of squats with naps in between. And on top of that, this is not what Joey said. I never managed to actually reach out to the kid. I never had direct discussions. But from the grapevine, what I got is that he just realized that he got in too deep and he didn't know enough about Bloho. And we cannot blame him. I don't want you to feel like he's at fault because, as I said previously, it's Bloho who hunted the kid. Bloho made several clickbait videos name-dropping Joey Frazier because he saw that Joey was growing bigger and he has such an appetence for young boys that he thought he would make good prey. So he is the one who reached out first. I verified that and that is certified. It's not Joey. And the thing is that Bloho would like you to believe that it's that teen that reached out because, oh, Kof is so big and strong, I want him to show me the way. That's not what happened. He seeked him out. He offered him his services. And from what I know, Joey wasn't paying. He was working pro bono because Bloho thought that he was going to be able to get visibility from it. So maybe if Frazier wants to deny or actually go with these claims and tell me if I'm right or wrong. But that's what I got from this entire situation. So, as I predicted, once again, a big name that Bloho was trying to use to get fame just completely decided to distantiate himself. And once again, Jason, you are all alone. And that's going to repeat itself until the day you die. It's always been the same thing. I've been telling you, you cannot escape what you've done. You cannot outrun your past. You can barely outrun a pigeon. You will not be able to make any sort of respectable living on this platform until you apologize. And if you don't apologize, guess what? It's never gonna happen. It's going to continue. I and other people will make sure of that. And you know what? As I said, I'm not the one who created that situation for you. I'm not the one who reached out to Joey. Someone else did. Someone else who's also a big YouTuber. And guess what? He's not alone. There are many people who don't talk to you and don't mention you, but they're making sure that you stay down because they know the danger you represent. One, because you hunt teens, and two, because you give them garbage advice. Connected directly is also the fact that Mikey, the guy who looks just like Bloho with booty shorts, also dropped him, and Bloho used the same excuse, saying that it was because he was working a tough job and he didn't have enough energy to do his really hard, badass warrior workouts. He's constantly trying to present situations to put himself in a good light. He can never take an L. He refuses to look like a loser, but that's what makes him the biggest loser. This excuse makes no sense. We all know what happened. Mikey got trolled to hell and back, and he decided to just cut his losses and leave. And coming from someone who clearly looked like he had a developmental disability, the fact that someone who was so dull was able to tell that something was fishy and going wrong also shows that you have no chance. Meaning that even people with less than functionable brains can see through your bullshit and they eventually leave. And mark my words when I tell you that these are the start of a new wave. More and more people that you consider your friends are going to leave. And more people that you think are still your friends are feeding me information about you. And you don't know which ones. And I can tell you that these are the ones that you talk about the most, that you like the most. They hate your guts, but they won't reveal it yet. They'll do it once you're already on the ground. It's going to be like a Julius Caesar situation with Brutus and the entire assembly or whatever, except you're no Caesar, you're, I don't know, someone who swipes the streets and gets betrayed by the rats that he befriended at some point. But that's going to be your future. As I said 5 months ago with the Joey Frazier situation, I can predict these things pretty accurately. In terms of clients, because we spoke about Joey and Mikey, a lot of people want client updates, and I'm always happy to oblige because I'm also working on that front. So as I said in previous videos, I couldn't for the life of me get him to respond to one of my messages. He always ignored them, but I couldn't understand how he could tell it was me, because I wasn't leaving any alibi or traces, I was dusting my tracks. And people working with me also couldn't get that down until one person reached out and said, hey, I got a call with him and it was really easy. And I realized my error. The reason why I couldn't get him to answer is because I was using adult profiles. He only answers to teens. That fat pedophile only answers to young children. If he can tell on the picture that you're not young and gullible, he will not answer back. So that one guy worked for me for a while until the point where his brain just short fused and he called Bloho a cock and Bloho blocked him. I don't blame the guy. Bloho asked him for like $75 for a Skype consultation that he still spells consolation, by the way. So the guy just couldn't actually fulfill his role and he just dropped. But now I know why my efforts have been no. It's because I wasn't using the right methods. So I'm going to adapt said methods. And a juicy man that I'm going to drop for you guys in terms of clients and how low he has. He, a few months ago, started a Skype call. he posted a message on his private board using the emoji background on Facebook, you know, the ones with the yellow emojis that laugh. And he wrote a message saying, hey, since it's like quarantine and we can't go outside, do you guys want to get on a call just to have a chat and like a friendly chat? Because of course he's desperate for human attention because he killed his dog. And only one person answered and one person showed up. That person is Kelly. I'm not going to say their last name. It's a person who also has a mental disability. And Bloho was so sad that no one actually wanted to talk to him that he just canceled. So I hope that makes you happy to know that he absolutely has no one in his life and that even when he's trying to reach out to people, he just gets ignored completely. And that's pretty much that. I just want to also say two things before we get into the topic of women, that Robson, the guy I spoke about last time, reached out to me, quote unquote, but he never did it directly. He did it on his own page or via people who told me that he wanted to speak. I'm open, bro. Just reach out to me. You still haven't sent any messages. I heard people complain that I deleted your message. I'm not your buddy Jason. I don't delete comments like you guys do. You fucking hypocrites, censors, right-wing guys who stand for freedom, but the second someone posts a message you don't like, you delete it. You want to talk to me? Post a comment under this video. I don't delete shit. Just don't write like a complete spaz and get your comment deleted by a bot, and we'll discuss. I have many information that you will find very interesting about Jason. I have screenshots of him making fun of you, saying that you're a failure because you never could keep a woman, and also posting memes about the day where apparently you blew out your quads, you destroyed your quads. He thought that was very, very funny. So again, reach out to me, I can send you all of that information, and you're going to see that the guy you call your friend and your brother is constantly shitting on you. And for the people who ask about sources and screenshots and proofs, I only share my sources and screenshots with people that work for me and with me. I'm not going to give my sources to random people that could be Jason or fanboys of Jason. I'm not stupid. And also, if you decide to actually help, you have to be aware of the fact that I'm going to only send you a select amount of things. I cannot take the risk of doxing other people who work on the case because, as I said, some people are high profile and they have big YouTube channels and they're giving me really good information. Some of them are friends with Jason and they're feeding me information. If I dox them, these videos are going to be less funny for us, so I can't do that. But to end up on a positive note, I just want to say that I am more than rejoiced and pleased at the amount of people that reached out to me to help me on these episodes to give me information. We're talking a team of 15 guys who are all with a job, some of which with a family, and with good situations who take time out of their day to troll Bloho and to actually spy on him. And I cannot help but express how happy I am and hopeful that makes me that so many people saw through his shit that we have now a solid group of people dedicated to take him down. That is most excellent. And as for this episode in particular, I want to give a special thank to Ricardo and what name can I use not to make sure that Bloho doesn't know who he is? Retsu. Ricardo and Retsu. You know who you are. Thank you for your work. Most of what I'm going to say today comes from what you found. So, what I want to do for this episode about women is we're going to start with the information I found throughout the years, and then I'm going to end with the private messages, meaning that I'm going to put you on a slow cook, a slow burner of sorts. I'm going to build up your ment tolerance, and at the end, I'm going to spike it. You're going to go completely insane. So the good, the juicy, minty stuff is at the end, but the rest is pretty good. Because on the topic of Bloho and women, in revisiting Hemingway's dating life, I had to make choices and select categories. So of course I discussed his past wives, but that's not going to be of too much interest because I already spoke about it. As I said, he has had wives, for the people who don't know that, which truly shows that regardless of the way you look or behave, you have a chance. If that guy could get 2-3 wives, you have also someone somewhere that is going to marry you. Don't worry about that. The problem is that, of course, you don't want to end up with the type of women that he did because they were all weirdos. Like, the first wife, I think, was a conspiracy nut because she thought she was going to marry a reptilian overlord when she married him. Moon Cookie was also a narcissist. If you wonder about Moon Cookie, I'm planning a full episode about her. So it's going to be a different thing. I'm not going to mention her today too much. It's going to be more general, more about women. He also dated a cocaine addict at the end, who was a Christian supremacist also. Because at the end of the day, when you look like Jason and you behave like him and you're homeless and jobless, the only type of women you can bag are the ones that you find at the back of alleys who are snorting meth directly from the floor. That's pretty much your ceiling, that's what you get. You cannot really go higher than that. But you'll see that in Bloho's imaginary world, that's not what happens at all. In his world, he bangs 10 tens 5 times a week, and he's constantly having to push away squad of cheerleaders who are trying to suck his cock. I couldn't really follow the path of the dating websites because of you guys who are creating fake accounts with his name and his profile pictures, mostly on gay websites, which yes, I've been on because I am doing my darndest for these episodes, guys. I'm giving my person, literally and figuratively. So I really couldn't trace if he actually used dating website because there's too many fakes out there. But I figured out that he doesn't need to use them because he has a different platform that he prefers. I'll talk about that at the end of the episode. So, on to women. I know a lot of people think he's gay, and I have my reserves on that. This is not the episode where I talk about if he's gay or not. Today we're just going to assume that he's heterosexual, and we're going to look at the way he goes about it, how he's trying to actually fulfill that need and that biological drive. And I'm putting that, this is the mentiest things, away, right, for now. It's going to be grabbed afterwards. These are all of the messages between Bloho and women. It's insane. This should be under lock. I should have put an insurance policy on that thing. It has more value than the entirety of Bloho's apartment. I know I'm teasing even more, but you're going to get it eventually. Eventually, because maybe this is going to happen only in 1 month. So who knows? There's a strong chance. Let me just check the time. We'll see. Maybe you'll get lucky. If the episode is 1 hour, you'll get to hear it today. So, these are 3 papers with a bunch of myths, and I'm only going to select the ones that talk about women the most. So, last time I sort of ended up on a cliffhanger, an incel cliffhanger, because I told you that I had a lot of things to say about the topic. Because Bloho is, of course, an incel. What is an incel? It's involuntary celibate. It means that you are without women, but it's not because you want it. It's not because you're a monk and you're trying to practice asceticism. It's because no one wants your ass. That's incels. And the movement, some people say that the movement is young, but it was popularized and made visible by the internet. Incels have always existed, but there's a resurgence of them in recent years for multiple reasons. And of course, Bloho is one of them. I actually traced him back to several incel websites and forums, which are the most depressing places on the internet. If you are part of these and you watch these videos, leave. I don't know what you're doing on these things. You're going to end up just hanging yourself. It's so sad. But he was on there. And actually something that I found too is that when he creates sock accounts, he likes to create them in the format of these forums. So he creates a Curie cell, African cell. So basically these are things that the incels within their communities, they separate themselves via race. So if you're African, you're a different type of incel, etc. I don't know why they do that. They find it funny. But he likes to do that. And of course, he never does it using a white name or white person. He constantly uses like pictures of ugly Indians or ugly black dudes. Maybe because it makes him feel better to dog on other races and picking the ugliest portion and percentage of their ethnicity. I don't know, but I can tell you one thing, Bloho. Regardless of the color of your skin, you're still a piece of shit. And it is always so poignant to see that a lot of those guys, like those middle-aged, racist white dudes, do that because in reality their life is so shitty that they need to feel superior about one thing, and the one thing they have is race. Like, oh, you happen to be born white, congratulations. That doesn't make you superior. You are worthless. You are not productive. You're a weight on society. I don't care about the color of your skin. You should be deported. Even though you were born in the US, you should just be, your citizenship should be voided and you should be catapulted, not in any country because it just would be like an act of war, but in the middle of the ocean, and even that is pollution. Send you to the moon, but then the extraterrestrials would complain about you. I don't know what to do with you. I wish you could just find a solution for us. But he did a lot of time cosplay and roleplay as incels because it's what it is, which is interesting because it's his personality, but he constantly insults other people using that as an ad hominem. For example, he particularly liked to call Alpha Destiny an insult, meaning that he was saying to the guy, hey, you don't get women because women don't want you. I don't know if you realize that or not, but if we ran like a poll or survey with 100 women, between you and Alex, they would all pick Alex. One, because you're the same height, don't lie to me, you're 5'3". Two, because he has hair on his scalp. Three, he can grow facial hair that's decent. Four, he has better looks than you. Five, he's stronger. And six, he's bigger. He makes more money. He has a more successful YouTube channel. Are you kidding me? If he's an incel, then you're a turbo incel. You're the king of all incels. Don't even try that bullshit with me. And he constantly tried to also question Alex's sexuality. We'll get back to that, but to me that's a sign that he feels deeply insecure about that because he's trying to project that onto others. He also made several videos about gym selling, saying that it wasn't the solution. But Bloho, you have the gym and only the gym in your life. That's all you do. It's someone who gym sells, they have a job to go to. Most gym sells have a job, they're not needs. You don't even have that. You have a gym in your living room, for God's sake. You are the quintessential gym sell. But unlike a lot of these guys who end up falling in love with themselves, you are not even big or muscular or strong. You failed entirely. You're like someone who spent their entire life playing chess to be better at chess and who gets beaten by a 5-year-old kid who just discovered the practice. You are not in any position to give advice to people on gym selling. And this is something he does a lot on this channel too. I remember him making a video about manlets and giving advice to manlets on how to feel better about their height. And it's clearly in a way to create optics to make people believe that he's not short. It's like if I made like 15 videos about feeling better if you have a small dick. At some point you guys would be like, dude, I think you have a small dick and this is projection. You're trying to make us believe that you are not completely micro-penised. Well, it's the same for him. And this video, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. He clearly is talking to himself. Like he's trying to soothe himself because he hates being so short, but it doesn't work. Just like it doesn't work when you attack incels or gym cells. It's who you are. You cannot shed your skin. You're not a reptilian overload. It doesn't work. We can see through your bullshit. It is who you are. He also claimed to be MGTOW, which is men going their own way. I'm not going to expand on the topic. A lot of these guys are just dudes who had a poor selection in mates, who got fucked over, and have decided that women are the bane of their existence. They are very childish on average. But for him, it's especially funny because it's not like he dated women who did him wrong. Actually, it's the exact opposite. He abused and exploited women who were too stupid to see through his bullshit. And what they get in return is being called banshees by the guy. He constantly blamed them. That's the thing too with this guy, where he said that his first wife was sabotaging his diet and she was the reason why he was fat. He said that Moon Cookie was the reason why he couldn't focus on YouTube. Always a reason, always someone else. And truly that detestation for women can only come from one place. I think it might come from the fact that he's so ugly that it's his only defense mechanism. He has to pretend that he doesn't like women because that way he's actually protecting an image of someone who's like a badass man going his own way. You're not going your own way. If I paid some Consuela $45 to knock on your door and propose a date, you would drop your bucket of rice and whatever sheep meat you put in there, and you would follow her on your hands and knees like a dog. I'm sure that if a pretty woman told you that she would go on a date with you, but she wants to walk you like a dog on a leash, you would do it. Because you're so desperately waiting for someone to give you attention. From what I know, and I have pretty good informators, the last woman you got intimate with, aka held her hand, was 2.5 years ago, and you had zero action since then. The desert of Gobi, dry, and it's perfectly reasonable and normal. Women are not going to go for you. Why would a woman go for you? Are you kidding me? There's always a better option. You go to a cemetery, there are better options here than you. So no, you're not men going their own way. No one wants your ass. So you can pretend that it's because you're dedicated to your craft. But what craft? Your YouTube career is a failure. You're weak. You're small. I mean, none of the things you're putting yourself into and rejecting women for are working. And the most absolute proof that this guy gets no girls is the fact that he has a gym in his living room. Now, I don't know how much you guys know women, but I know one thing with girls. They, one, like comfort, and two, they tend to really occupy themselves a lot with the way the house is decorated. And the last thing a woman would allow is a gym in her living room. You can call me a simp and say, oh, he's so badass, he does whatever he wants. No, 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 no. This is not how it works. It's like if your girl tried to, I don't know, paint your car pink with kitties on it. You would have something to say about it, and it wouldn't make her a wimp if she actually let you have your way. Same for that. No self-respecting woman would actually have a gym in her living room. How are you supposed to welcome guests? Hello, we're going to have dinner. Would you like to sit on the box squat that my husband squats on and never washes and smells like his ass? Would you like to take a peek of his glutam razors that is soaked with his sweat? You can put your coat on it, it's going to be very hygienic. Oh, I'm very sorry about the windows being barred, but it's because my internet is such a piece of shit that everyone on the internet hates him, and therefore he has to actually barricade the window so that no one tries to throw a grenade in here. Oh, yeah, we have 2 fridges. Don't worry about this one that ranks, that is just smelly like a dead rat. It's where he puts all of his cheap eggs and the cheap milk that he buys for his bulks. Don't worry about that. Yeah, a lot of women would love that. That's a great way to be a perfect host. Just welcoming people in what essentially looks like a sex dungeon that must, again, let me insist, reek of sweat and piss, and just, have a good time. Sure, that's exactly what is happening. This is the reason why multiple times I've had teens tell me that he's trying to flex on them by pretending that he has company over. But Bloho, we know for a fact that when you record your stupid videos, and especially the audio voiceover, you do them in a closet. So how exactly are you supposed to have a discussion with a woman that spent the night, while she's behind you and you just open the closet and she talks like this and you answer? How little do you know of women that you would think any girl would accept that living situation? It is not sustainable. Also, take one look at his apartment. Can you find one thing that would belong to a woman here? Besides the purple dildos that he's trying to stash away? I don't think so. This apartment looks like dude, and not just any dude. Someone who has massive mental issues. You know the type of guy who still lives in his mom's basement at 45? Yeah, that's that. But instead, he lives in daddy government's basement because yes, this is not his apartment or condo. It's paid by the government, paid by us. Okay, we are the ones that allow him to live that life. And he certainly is not having any women over, I can guarantee you that. So that's for the gym in the living room. That is his price and joy, but of course would disqualify him of having any girl over. On top of that, he never spoke to anyone in his old gym, and I actually got in contact with a few people and the owner of the gym. The owner, who insulted me plentifully because apparently he likes Bloho, I insulted him back, it was all fine. I did it in French, it really pissed him off. This type of guys tend to really hate the French for some reason. And the owner told me that he liked him. I think he liked him because he thought he was special. That very same owner was dating a woman taking so many steroids that she was basically transitioning into a man. So I'm not surprised that he liked Bloho. It fits the bill. But I heard from other regulars of his gym, he never spoke to anyone. Like, he was a recluse. And especially women made him very uncomfortable from what I could tell. Maybe because they dwarfed him and therefore, of course, he didn't like that at all. Meant that I'm throwing on the side. There was once a picture posted by Bloho of him flexing on a barbell, and he posted and he was like, "Oh, look at how big I am, even though I'm just a powerlifter." That picture was taken by Moon Cookie, and they said in the caption, Bloho said in the caption that it was a candid picture. I got words from someone who apparently was there on that day. It wasn't candid at all. They took like 500 shots to get the perfect shot and the perfect lighting. So much for someone who doesn't care about looks, Bloho. I thought looks were for homosexuals. Why do you take so much time with your woman taking pictures of you to have like the perfect jacked look? I think you didn't care about that type of stuff, huh? Interesting. But of course he knows that women like looks, so he's trying to look better. It's not gonna work. If you want a chance with women, I was going to say move to a country where there's a lot of poverty and maybe you can woo them this way, but you're as poor as them, so it's not going to work. A country where they they worship ugly men, but that doesn't really exist. So you're really out of option. I would say find the nearest beach and try to seduce a seal. You know, some seals sometimes through like the nuptial period, they don't find a mate and they're desperate. You can find a female seal, maybe try your luck there. You already smell and look like one, so it's not going to be spooked by your presence. You might also have to end up with a male bull. I mean, at the end of the day, you did worse things. You're already prepared, but that's not the topic of this video. And the last thing that I wanted to say on this very topic was that he's a pure beta. Of course, I discussed that last time with the topic of the swimming pool. When out in public, he's also a beta that has been documented plenty of times with the way he behaves, especially at Tommy's garage, and I'm going to get back to because I have more information. And I also want to discuss the topic of the Jello shots, which is a ment that many people are aware of. When discussing his party lifestyle and the fact that he was so social with women, Bloho recounted the story of him who had a good time with a few females and they were having Jello shots, and for some reason he felt the need to tell people that they needed to do sugar-free Jello shots to make sure that they didn't lose their abs. It really goes to show that he wants everything. Like, he wants you to know that he gets girls. He wants you to know that he also is a party animal, but also that he's really, really careful and regimented about his looks. And then you look at him and you're like, okay, the story about the Jello shots is you going into a kid's store, trying to buy candy. The police was called because you tried to take a kid, and you embellished all of that into that story. There's no way around it. You don't go outside. The one time you went to a bar, you got sucked in the face. I don't buy any of that. But in his word, of course, as I said, there are women lining up to fuck him. I almost forgot this. I am unforgivable. He, at some point, and that's someone who actually sent me the screenshot of this, started to brag about having so much sex that one day, I think it was during like November, someone told him, hey, Kof, do you do nofap? And he said, no, I literally broke nofap the very next morning. Like, he wanted you to know that he gets so much sex that he just couldn't. It was an impossibility for like such an alpha child as him to hold nofap. The next day he broke it. And the funniest thing is that in the message he says, I broke it with a woman. He wanted to make sure, like to precise, with a woman, not with a man, not with a purple dildo, with an actual woman. Problem is he didn't mention the species, so that could be with a cat that he found in his back alley. We have no idea. And on the same vein, before I forget, a few months ago too, someone asked him a very innocent question about hip mobility, and he felt the need to answer by saying that he got plenty of mobility work because he fucked so much. Like, this is a behavior that I'm expecting from a teenager. You know, teens who constantly feel the need to tell everyone that, oh, I'm having fingered my girlfriend today, you want to smell? This is this, but in a 45-year-old man. This is pitiful. This is beyond pathetic. At no point would a self-respecting man behave like this. As a rule of thumb in life, the men who speak the most about their conquests are the ones who have the least amount of conquests. But since Kof apparently has had a dozen threesome, again, a direct quote from him, and has fucked cheerleaders in the past that he paid with drugs that he manufactured, you can expect more from him. Keep in mind that that story is pretty much Breaking Bad, but you replace the meth with steroids and you replace the Mexican pesos with sexual favors. Also, I don't know what men would share that. Like, cool, you coerced junkies into sucking your dick for dope. Like, I'm supposed to find this respectable or Chad or alpha? It's disgusting. You should have both of your ankles broken for that behavior. But of course, I know it's not true. I know it is complete fucking bullshit. There is not a single woman on earth, no matter how desperate she is or drunk, that walks, first off, looks at you and goes home with you, and two, walks through your door, sees your apartment and doesn't immediately leave. Like, she would think that she's going to get abducted, because that's what your apartment looks like. It's ridiculous. You live like a man-child. Your entire condo, quote unquote, is pretty much a man cave, but it's not. It's just your life. That's the life you live. So that was the first segment about women and everything he says about them.